Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, A Plain Truth, Ranty Flat Earth, Mark Doxy, DITRH, and Arwin. How are you all doing?
We're doing the best.
Doing good, doing good.
All good. Are we still here, David?
He's
I'm
driving.
going to be in and out, and if I drop out, I'll try to come back. But if I'm out for a little bit,
All right. So I guess
I'll do my
if
best.
you're in and out,
Morning.
David, perhaps you want to say something, David, while we got you.
I think
Or
Say
maybe he's
that
out.
again, Anthony. You know what? Wait for me to come back. I'm going to drop out in a minute, and then I'll come back, and I'll have better service, all right?
No worries.
Sure.
So we're kicking off by not doing housekeeping today, but by actually addressing some of the people who have not debated on this show, but have violated the public with their omission of perspective. Now, we already kind of know that we've got a lot of cowards that have been on the show previously, and they don't want to come on regardless of us calling them out for their errors. However, there are people like Red's Rhetoric who seem to talk about us and say they don't want to come on for reasons, even though we're not really talking about them a great deal. But he is guilty of the same exact thing. So I'm just going to let's get it up, screen share Anthony. You ready to go, Anthony?
Yeah. Let me know.
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. So we had the hangout with Rumpus yesterday, and in the hangout, Rumpus was adamant and defiant that we have to observe the absolute heights of targets in the distance. We must not apply relative because apparently it's a function of the camera, and it's all taken by the camera by taking the picture. And Nathan and I was rejecting that nonsense because things do get smaller over distance, and there should be a mathematical construct that we can all apply to work it out. And there is no evidence of that in the Metabunk curve calculator. It simply doesn't exist. Mick argues, of course, that it's because the function of Metabunk is to show the hidden height, but it's the application of the hidden height that's the problem. Every baller I've never seen a baller not do this. Every single baller has done it. And Rumpus has done it. Red's Rhetoric's done it. Sean Hufford's done it. What's his name? Sly Sparkane's done it. You name it, they've all done it. And we're all guilty of it too because we're following the science according to the religion that is known as heliocentrism. So we've all done it. And basically, here is an example of a well-known baller, Red's Rhetoric. He's now got however many subs he's got now. But this video he did in 2016 is on the Big Ben power station. And at the time, I had issues with this, and I never got around to closure on the point with him. But I'm going to play an extract from this video. And basically, we're calling you out, Reds. We're going to ask you in front of everybody, why did you not apply perspective in your video? So he's going to make the point about the height of these things, and then he's going to go straight over to the curve calcs. He's going to apply the hidden to the height, the absolute height of the chimneys. And obviously, we all know that chimneys get smaller over distance. So just listen to the moment where he does it and enjoy it, because this is Reds getting his ass handed to him on a plate by dumb flat earthers that have no science for the stuff. We've just got to work it out ourselves. So enjoy this.
This red line is where the horizon is. Now, because we already overlaid our image. We don't need to know where the distorting line is, so that can be ignored. Now, it is at this point that we need to bring up the Earth curvature calculator. So my camera was about 4 feet over the surface of the water, and we were 19.25 miles away. That means that 188 feet of that stack was hidden behind the curvature of the Earth.
So 188 feet of that stack, right? It's 19.25 miles away. So we need to know the height of the stack, because it's the height of the stack at 19.25 miles, not the height of the stack. So the absolute height is not what we're going with. Let's see what Reds does. Does he apply the absolute height, or does he adjust for perspective?
And this is where Tekatron's Google Foo came in, because he actually found a PDF that tells us how tall those stacks actually are. And according to this PDF, they are about 490 feet tall. And so
he gives the actual height at 490 feet tall. Now let's just see, does he make any adjustments for perspective?
what that means is we should be able to do a little bit of math and figure out if our image comports with the round Earth model. So let's go ahead and take 490. Let's divide that by 188, the amount of which that is being hidden by the curvature of the Earth. And we get 2.60. Now, what that means is that if we were to take the portion...
So basically, he's now going to apply the maths, but you've all just seen him apply the absolute height of the chimneys, but the chimneys are 17 miles away. So we're going to call you out, Reds. We're going to ask you, where was your application of perspective in relation to the curve of the Earth to reduce the size of these chimneys down? Because obviously at 17 miles, they are not at full actual absolute height as per Rumpus. They are at the apparent height, whatever that apparent height is, and I didn't see you apply any perspective reduction for mathematics, and I would like to know why. Basically, that's it. Where are you, Reds? Let's see what your explanation is. You did not apply perspective. Can't you science, bro? Can't you perspective, bro? Where's the maths for this, please? Whatever that maths magically is, because obviously there is no science for this bit because it's not on the curve calculator. So where's the maths for this? Perspective reduction over distance. Them chimneys are not the same height at 17 miles away as they are from that pamphlet. Why did you not reduce on the grounds of perspective, please?
Good man, Anthony. That was well said.
Indeed, it's their rabbit in the hat trick, basically.
But at the time, we were falling for it as well, weren't we?
Yep. Yeah, they're still trying to pull the wool over our eyes even now we've exposed the trick. Because this is a trick that can't be exposed at any cost. Because they
Is
can
that you,
never
Anthony,
adjust.
that's just joined?
Yeah.
Oh, good man.
So yeah, they can't ever account for perspective. It's something they can't do because that's what they've used to engineer a curvature that isn't really there. To engineer a bulge that isn't really there. And to
The magic trick doesn't work if they apply it, so...
That's exactly the point. They're never going to be able to make the adjustment because then it'll never match any observation that any of us have ever produced questioning the shape of the Earth. Because everything, once it goes above, say, 20, 25 miles, unless it's huge, it's going to have shrunk that much and fall below the height of that hidden value that none of it should exist. That's the problem. They're never going to be able to adjust for it, and they can't even accept or deny. They've got to push that it's the absolute height at all costs. So we want to know how the bigger hitters deal with this, because I've heard Red cited and proclaiming this intellectual honesty. Well, let's see how intellectually honest he's going to be. Why was there not an adjustment for mathematics, for perspective in the mathematics, Reds? Why did you apply it at the full height of the chimneys?
Has Tim got back to us on this one yet?
Tim? Tim who?
Tim.
Right,
Who? Tim who?
Timothy, the guy that uses the drone across.
Tim Osmond.
Oh, Tim Osmond.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've put it to him in these terms yet. So Tim tends
Well,
not to bring up the calculator, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, the hyena shot. Do you remember that one? Yeah.
Yeah, but he never made any comparison. He just made his assertions. He didn't actually make any calculations. And, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say he's never done it, but I can't recall any times that I've seen him brought up a curve calculator. I don't think he does that
I think
particularly.
he pretty much omitted that it wasn't accurate, that it wasn't reliable.
No, let's not talk about Tim. He's not
Trusting
here.
his own intuition.
No, he's not here. Let's not deal with Tim.
Yeah.
I can't think of a time that he's ever done it, but I also can't think of a time when he's ever presented any evidence either. All he ever talks about is the celestial sphere. So let's not talk about Tim, because he doesn't bring coherent arguments anyway. But let's talk about those that claim to be intellectually honest. Let's concentrate on people like Sean Hufford, Red's Rhetoric, Slice Barcane. Well, these are all the people that claim the upper post, the upper hand, the superiority in the mental stakes. They all claim that they've got some element of honesty in their intellectual abilities. Well, we all agree and we all realize that objects shrink over distance, and on a flat plane, that's where it stops. We live on a ball, objects shrink over distance, but they also drop behind a curve, they tilt away, and a bulge magically appears before your very eyes that obscures everything. So, where's how are you going to address this, Reds? Why did you not account for perspective in your mathematics when you applied the height against the absolute height against the hidden value? It's a good day to be flat earthers.
Hillel Finder, is he the guy that you've met?
No, he's an American guy.
Right, okay.
Why?
No, he says he has some observations that he wants to discuss. Thought he might have been talking about doing them at St. Bees.
Well, let's not do it today, Hillel. Let's do it another day, because today we're just beating the drum about ballers that claim that perspective doesn't need to be addressed because we can use the absolute height. So unless you want to talk about how absolute height is so mandatory in your model, we can talk about an observation that you've done at another time, because today it's all about perspective.
Or the lack thereof in their calculations when they beg the question and assume the Earth is a sphere, which it is absolutely not. The Earth is obviously and observably flat. However, we do have this function of perspective, which causes things to reduce in size into the distance and become eventually obscured beyond a vanishing point. However, they ignore these details and tell us that that's actually a curve. So long as you ignore perspective, that's good enough to fool a lot of people. A lot of people who've come along believing it wholeheartedly. We've already called these guys out, the Gem Pandas and the Rumpus guys. Rumpus has just come on yesterday, in fact, and confirmed all this. It doesn't perform viewing functions. It's not making a picture, while they simultaneously ignore me when I say, well, you've compared this to pictures. No, I haven't. Right, okay. So yeah, the cowards of the chat, people in chat now, I've named and shamed a couple of them. Gem Pandas in there right now. You have absolutely used these pictures, just like Red has. You're both dumbasses, but maybe Red's got a bit more of a set of balls than Gem Panda. We shall see.
Well, let's invite the invitation to Jeremy. Let's see if we can get you on the panel.
Yeah, that's like 10 shows ago. The guy is now labelled a coward. He's the link's public and has been for 10 shows since we started talking about this and saying, Gem Panda, come in and retract. Make sure you correct your errors, and they are errors, glaring omissions of something we all see, perspective, because the calculator isn't performing viewing functionality. Yet Gem Panda, like Red, has absolutely compared these calculations, like a complete Dumbo, to a camera shot, something that is performing viewing functions. So these dumbasses, perspective-denying idiots like Red and Gem Panda, Gem, he's already been asked. He's not come in. He's been given every opportunity to address his issues. He's quick to call you out and make hangouts about us and call us stupid when we make mistakes about things like Ireland, when we've got a subject up for debate. And cap in hand, we have made our concessions and made our retractions and admitted where we are wrong. The guys in the chat now, they can't do that because they're cowards. Even without having their faces and real names out there, they still won't do it because they're big fat cowards.
They're just not up to the debate, though. That's what it is. We've superseded their debate skills. A year ago, they had the upper hand, and since we've sharpened our tools, they now know that they can't step foot in here without getting a new one wrecked. And that's what it is. And that's why they send the Rumpus in.
Hey, Alan.
And that's why
Hi.
they send the Rumpus in.
Wow, you're so loud.
Pretty sure that the Rumpus sends himself in.
Yeah, but they have tiers of baller, what they would call class tiers, so trying to get a Red's Rhetoric in here who might know slightly more than the Rumpus and Gem Panda combined, they'll send the weaklings in first. Unfortunately, Gem's too coward to come in and debate. So.
And can I just say that Jeremy's done 3 videos called Faking Flat, in which he claims that I lied about something. Now, a lie is defined as a misstatement or an incorrect statement of fact that was intended to deceive. And to this date, he has never found any evidence of the statement of fact that he claims that I actually lied about. So there's no evidence of the actual wrong statement of fact. And obviously then you need the element to deceive. Now, he has got this concoction where he thinks that there's an element of what he thinks is hocus pocus. And sure, but where's the statement of fact that's wrong? Where's the element of deceit? Right? There's a difference between getting something wrong, and there's a difference between lying about something intentionally deceiving everybody.
Wiggles, is that you?
Speak up, Wiggles. Too late.
To be honest, Wiggles isn't somebody that's worthy on such an interesting show, because all that's going to happen is he's going to obfuscate the point like thing he did. What was that, Milu?
Always give them at least one chance.
I did say hello to him and waited before I kicked him. He just didn't say hello. If you're going to join, you've got to say hello.
Don't mean that. I mean, we should let everyone on. If they start obfuscating, then we can always kick them,
I know, but sometimes there's better topics to have than to allow somebody like Milu to dominate the show with no evidence whatsoever, all rhetoric, all literally just bickering back and forth with no progress whatsoever on any of his points.
Shout out to Joey for the super chat. Thanks a million.
Yeah, the thing is, they've not come in since the debating panel has got much better. That's simply it. I mean, I couldn't debate very well a year ago, but I absolutely destroyed Rumpus yesterday. And that's what they're all going to get. And if I'm the worst debater on here and I can destroy Rumpus, then...
Arwen's the worst.
That's not true. That's not true. Arwen's actually better than all of us.
It was a joke.
He's ahead of us. He's ahead of the curve.
Today?
He's ahead of the slant. And
you're obfuscating, Riley.
We're just catching up to Arwen.
Like they're going to put the feet in the hyena's nest. It's unlikely that they're going to come, isn't it?
No, I think we all got a lot better. We got a lot wiser. And now with this magic trick we discovered that the ballers have been persistently using, replacing a curve assumed drop that is in actuality angular size caused by perspective. And I think we can safely say that we won. We have won utterly. There is nothing they can do. Absolutely nothing there. I can't even think of something from a baller perspective, haha, pun intended, to think of anything they can do to counter this. All they can try to do is obfuscate, insert as much cognitive dissonance they can to make the people or to keep the people in the belief that that system, that trickery they're using is actually legitimate. And that is all they can do, because as soon as they even attempt to omit it, it's over. It's completely and utterly over. They have no more system to prove through math their curvature. There's
Hey,
nothing.
Wiggles. Hold on, Arwen. Hey, Wiggles.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
That's a real Wiggles.
Good to have
No,
you.
I don't think my mic was working earlier. Sorry.
That's all right. Good to have you.
So
Yeah, thanks.
we've won. That's it.
So
The Earth is
Wiggles,
flat. We got proof.
Wiggles,
They have no more curvature.
Wiggles, you're the gentleman that was producing maths on a spreadsheet recently, weren't you?
Yeah, probably.
And you're the guy that we asked, could we see the maths where you considered perspective, and you quickly removed them off the screen and never represented them. Have you since gone back and changed your position and included some perspective in your maths?
So I'm wondering if I can untangle this and help you understand it. So, like, just imagine something above your head. Like, forget the horizon, right? You got.
Was that a no?
You're confusing things here. Let's imagine if I had a basketball and I threw it up in the air, right?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so does the basketball actually change size, or does it look like it changes size?
You understand the concept of perspective. It's an apparent size reduction based on its distance.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so to answer your question, you throw the basketball up, and as it goes up, it looks like it's getting smaller from your point of view because of perspective. So to answer your question, yes, it looks like it gets smaller. It's not really getting smaller, it's just an angular size reduction at distance wiggles.
It's just like the sun. When the sun sets, it shrinks, right?
No, not like the sun.
Well, actually,
because
no,
you
if
don't
you
have
get-
proof that's a physical object.
Yeah, we do.
If you get like a solar filter, the
Don't-
sun, you can see
don't
the
be
sun stays the same size. Have you ever actually tried that?
Yeah, we've got evidence of it. Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole's got 2 videos on his channel where a solar filter's been applied, and you can see that the sun never actually goes down. It just gets smaller and smaller and dilutes away to nothing. You should check them out.
Yeah.
You might learn something.
Yeah, but it doesn't move
that
into the distance because the
doesn't
speed does
happen.
not decrease as it moves away, if that is what you
Arwen, have
presume.
you watched the videos on
Yeah,
Deep
I
Inside?
have.
Right,
I have.
so-
He's been
So
using
you
the same
disagree
stuff.
with what you see then?
Sorry?
You disagree with what Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole shows?
No.
Right.
I just
So then the
analyze
sun-
it a little bit better and more honestly and
Oh.
conclude that the sun shrinks in size.
All right. Let's get
Actual
Deep Inside the-
angular speed
let's get
by
the
which
videos
it
on
moves does not reduce.
Let's get the videos on screen and we'll see who's being honest here. Let's see whether the
Sure.
sun sets or whether
Hey,
the
Jay.
sun
How you doing?
disperses.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
Jay.
fine.
Jay, hello.
I've done this many times. I've seen many of these
With the
videos.
solar filter.
Sun gets smaller,
Hello,
but
Jay.
the speed does not decrease. It does not move into the distance.
Okay, let's see a video and see that that doesn't happen at all. But let's see a video anyway. Sure.
Let's do it.
If you got one.
We've got 2. Well, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole's kind of in the hangout. We could perhaps get him to speak about it if he's here.
He's on his
he's,
smartphone, so he can't present to me. If one of you can present one of those videos, I'll stick it up though.
I'm gonna have to drop and rejoin because it's not doing what it should be doing. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, you really shouldn't be trying to prove physicality, even by a pathway. It's no use.
I think I just found a quick video through webcam. I need to do a screen share or something. But yeah, I'm watching the video now. It's the same size. Like I had a question for you guys. Do you guys like actually know the Earth is round and you're just kind of pretending it's flat?
Hey, Addy.
Hold on,
Get a shot.
hold on. Who is
Hello?
that?
Hello?
It's me.
Huh?
Hey. Hello.
It's me. It's me.
No, Eddie Prince. Who's that? Oh,
Too late. Sorry. Just got to say a bit quicker hello, and if the panel's talking and we boot you, sorry, just better luck next time if it's a busy panel.
he did
Sorry,
say
Eddie.
hello, but we couldn't really
Oh,
hear
did
it.
he?
Sounds
I'm really
right.
sorry. It was me that kicked him too. Oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't hear you for the talking. It's my bad.
It might have been because I thought it was me that you were talking to as I joined.
Oh. Right. Okay.
Yeah, you
I
had
thought
your
it was the
camera
other
on.
guy talking.
Right, who's presenting? Is it Sleeping Warrior?
I'm getting there. Hang on. Where is his channel? Ditra. Where we go. All right. So screen share, entire screen, and then Ditra. Videos. All right. Can we see this?
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about honesty in regards to this video, Arwen, because that was the word that you used.
Yeah, you don't have to try this. I've been on this very specific subject for years.
Oh, no, I do have to
know
try.
what I'm talking about.
Word-
There is no footage.
You've used the word honesty. and
Decrease.
Let's see whether that
Oh,
was the
good
correct
luck
word
with
to use. It's only a short one. We'll just leave it playing at normal speed. So he has this is his second video. He has 2 videos. One, I think this is one with a filter, and the other one's without a filter. I might be wrong, but what he does is he shows that the sun is Fool on the hill sees the sun going down, and the eyes in his head sees the world spinning round. I can't remember which this one is, but I think this is the one where he zooms in on it. So if I just
Yeah, he does. So we can see that. So what is the point?
Well, be patient and let's see how honest my point was.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Is this real time?
I don't know. I don't know if it's real time or speeded up. I'm presuming it was sped up.
Well, he's moving the camera, so I presume this is real time.
Well, he's on a drone, isn't he? So look at the shape of the sun, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine. It does decrease in size. I know that.
Well,
No, it's
look,
morphing.
it seems to be decreasing in size at the top, but then it gets magnified as it drops into the
Mhm.
single layer.
Yeah.
That's right. It looks like.
Are you noticing
Go back a
something
tab.
else as well? See, in relation to its size, it seems to be pretty much going the same speed.
Well, hang on a sec.
It's
It looks
going
like the
slower.
real sun.
Is it going very
away
slow
from
now?
you From the
No.
lensing. That's what it looked like to me at about the
It seems
halfway.
to be going in relation to its size a lot faster. Wow. It's speeding up. Look
But
at
watch
that.
what happens. Watch what happens.
It's going light speed. Incredible, yeah.
So
Well-
the question is, Arwin, what is the honest interpretation of what we're looking at?
That we need a solar
Well,
filter.
My honest interpretation of what you're looking at, and I have explained this several times, even on this show before, is that the apparent sun disk, as we see it, is approaching the physical horizon, the miraging zone.
Notice
So
where
there
the
is all kind. If you can let me finish without interrupting for once in your damn life, I will explain it in full. So as soon
No.
as the sun disk approaches the horizon and the miraging zone, there seems to be an effect that is causing it to decrease size, which I presume is some kind of lensing effect. But
look where the
simultaneously,
horizon
can
is.
you please let me finish? But simultaneously, the angular size speed of this sun disk, which follows its pathway across the heaven, does not decrease, which is a necessity when an object moves physically into the distance. It is observed in all perspective objects moving into the distance. The speed decreases as it approaches further away, basically. As it moves away, its relative speed decreases, goes slower. Well, the sun arc across the heavens is at a constant angular speed. It always is. I've never seen footage that it was not. It seems to be the same right here. So yeah,
you
the
done,
sun
Arwin?
does decrease in size when it approaches the physical horizon, when it approaches the
Arwin,
circle of confusion, but the angular speed
Arwin.
seems to be going pretty much the same.
look where the horizon is, Arwin.
Yeah.
Not even getting to the horizon.
Circle of confusion, remember?
Yeah, honesty. Remember?
Yeah, what is your point?
No
Are you going to
need, no
retract your
need.
comment about
No need.
presenting
There's
your
no need to
case
accuse
for
him of
honesty?
dishonesty. He's not doing anything dishonest. After your little speech when we were talking about Red and Gem Panda, come on, don't accuse him of dishonesty. There's no need.
I'm not accusing him of dishonesty. I'm asking him to retract his inferred.
No, I am not detracting anything. I think you're being a dick right here.
Yeah, I am being a dick. I'm asking you to
for no
retract
good
your
reason.
comment about
And
dishonesty.
it's being very stupid as well,
No,
because
I'm
I
asking
explained
you-
in detail
I'm asking
what
you
it
to
is you're
retract
seeing
your
here.
comment about
I gave an
dishonesty.
explanation of why it could
Arwin,
be
I'm asking you
forming
to
like it
retract-
does, and you completely ignore it like you're some
Alright.
kind of baller here.
Arwin,
Same team,
You're having,
same
having the
team.
body
Get on mute.
physical lit.
Arwin, shut up and listen. I'm asking you to retract your dishonesty statement.
You gotta love infighting. So yeah, what do you know? They
Is
ignore
Arwen
perspective.
claiming that the sun doesn't slow down as it gets near the horizon?
The problem is, Arwin has his own ideas about what the sun actually is, and Anthony has his own idea about what the sun actually is.
I'm not
They're
even
always gonna fall
debating
out
what the
over
sun
that.
is.
They're
Is
always gonna
Arwen
fall out.
saying that the sun maintains the same speed from 12 noon to sunset?
I'm not sure. Arwin said that he was representing my argument with more honesty, implying that I was in some way being dishonest when I said that the sun.
The angular
appears to
speed
be
is constant.
size.
That's what I was
Shut
saying.
up,
Yes.
Arwin. I
You
said
don't
the
need
sun
to.
appears
You don't need to
change-
mute me.
I do, because you won't shut up. I said the sun appears to change its size as it sets, And he didn't.
Yeah.
He allured that I was being dishonest by saying that he presented it more honestly. So I presented evidence.
No. That's not why I objected. I objected
But that's
because
what
you
you said.
immediately followed that statement up with the suggestion because it's moving away,
It was a suggestion
which
based on
suggests
honesty.
physicality.
It was a
which you
suggestion
have
based
no
on
proof
honesty.
for. It was intellectually dishonest of you to include
There you go.
moving away
So I've
because
asked
you
you-
have no proof that it is in a location.
But I've
Why
just
can't a
presented
non-physical
object.
thing move away?
I've just presented evidence that it does appear to shrink as it gets towards the horizon.
The disk
I've asked you
decreases
respectfully
in
to
size,
retract-
indeed.
Arwin, shut up. I've asked you respectfully to retract your dishonesty element of your comment.
No, I will not. I stand
Fine.
by every damn thing I said on this show and before.
Fine. Well, if you're not going to retract it, that makes you the intellectual dishonesty.
No, it means that you're an idiot and you're being
All right.
intellectually dishonest.
Have a good hangout, gents. There's no point in me being here if he's going to be like that. So enjoy
come
yourself.
on. Don't be like
Good
that.
luck.
Everyone
Come on.
disagrees. Everyone disagrees.
Nice little rage
I
quit.
made my statement and he made his. And yeah, if you're going to assume that it's
Hey, Erin, how you doing? Can you hear us?
that it is decreasing in angular size
Hold
because
on,
it is
Arwen.
moving away, yeah, then you're taking
Hey,
it
Arwen,
one step
hold on.
too far.
Arwin, shush.
Too late.
No, not shush.
We've had to keep
I was
somebody that might have
accused
been a
of being
guest.
intellectually dishonest, and I will defend myself. So that's that. If anyone wants to argue with me about this, sure,
Not really.
bring in the proof. Bring in the proof that the angular pathway actually slows down while it gets smaller, and then we'll talk.
Well, there is proof, but you have to view it from altitude. So I actually did a hangout, just a live streaming of the sun about 20 minutes before it was going to set, and it was significantly up in the sky. I need to get a way to measure it, and you could see it moving down, 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 and then just when it got below over the horizon, it literally stopped and just shrank into the distance. Now, that shrinking could be due to many things. One, just because the sides of the glare is reduced because more atmosphere. It could be, it could also be being magnified while it's reducing. It could also be getting smaller as it goes away. But what I can prove, and I'm going to make a video and film it longer, is that the sun slows down when it gets over the horizon. The reason we don't see that is because we're always viewing it from the ground, and either there's land,
Good luck.
something from the land eclipses it, or we're looking through the thickest part of the atmosphere, and just like you saw in that video that it was showing of mine, the actual atmosphere will eat the sun. But that video there was filmed a good 10 minutes after the sunset, according to time and date, from where I was, and I was in darkness filming that.
Sure.
So
Present
that
the
shows
footage.
right there.
Present the footage. I will scrutinize it. That's fine.
That was the footage that he was just showing, that it was showed where the sun just faded out. Was that what everybody was looking at?
All right. Well, as long as
Hello,
the sun
Bruno,
was
can you
visible,
hear us?
no matter its size,
Howdy.
the
Hey.
angular speed was pretty much constant, and it was
No,
even
that's
very
not
apparent.
true.
Yeah,
That's
it
not true
was.
at all. Because if you measure it as it's approaching the horizon, let's say it's going one sun diameter every 2 minutes or whatever, it literally slows down and stops, and then just shrinks into the distance until its light can no longer penetrate the atmosphere.
That's
And
not
there
what
is-
I saw in this footage. So
Well, this
it
is just the end of the
decreased
footage.
size.
Unfortunately, the live
constant. It
deleted
appeared
the
to
live
move a lot
stream.
faster.
If
In
the Earth
relation
Well,
was
it
to
moves
flat,
a lot
wouldn't the
faster across the
whole
center of
Earth
the
get
sky.
dark when the sun set? Like, if the Earth was flat, right, when the sun set, wouldn't the whole Earth get dark at the same time?
No, it has
No,
nothing to do with it.
because only when you're a certain distance from the sun can you not see it. So when I saw the sunset, the sun was still high in the sky in California. I'm on the East Coast. So it makes perfect sense for a small local sun. Now, I'm not arguing whether the sun is physical or not. I don't believe it is the sun that we see. That's not the point. The point is it slows down when it gets to the horizon, but people don't see it because they're always on the ground. You have to be at altitude, super dry, super clear, and filming in 4K to actually be able to see it.
Yeah, a year ago or something, you had really clear footage. I think it was like over a desert or something. It looked really hot, where you did indeed see the sun shrink down to minuscule size, and that was very impressive. There's one thing about it though that really stood out to me, and that is while it was shrinking, the angular speed remained exactly the same.
No,
you can try this. Like,
Yeah, I did. I
Good point,
actually
Aaron.
used your footage in my video
Arwen,
to
You
demonstrate.
can see the sun through a straw. If you
You're
use the
pointing out.
solar filter, you can see the sun through a straw, and it's always the same size. Like, try it. Really, you can see the sun through a straw. The whole thing.
Yeah.
Try it. No, really, you
Arwen.
don't believe me?
It's really
Yeah,
Try
show
it.
us. Have you
You need
got
a
an
solar
example?
filter. Solar filter.
You got an example wiggle that you can show us that you've done?
Well, I know you can see the moon through a straw.
Have you done that? Can
And,
you show us that?
The moon and the sun are the same size, and
No,
I've
can you
tried
show
it.
us?
Yeah, you need
Can you
like
show us?
I actually got a couple of eclipse glasses there. You can order them online. And
Sorry,
yeah, the sun is
sorry,
always
Wiggles.
like that
I just want to
same
tie this down.
size
You've
when
just
you're-
thrown it out there that you can look at something through a straw. I'm asking,
Yeah.
have you got footage of that we could now see and check whether or not what you're saying is correct?
You just got to try it yourself. I mean, I don't have any footage of that now.
Okay,
But
thanks
just try
for
it.
that.
It's surprising, I know, but just try it. You'll be surprised.
Just try, yeah, okay.
Hey, Arwen, the footage you saw over the desert, yeah, it is the same size because you've already, wherever that was being filmed from, it was at altitude, and the sun was already right above the horizon. If you think about it, from 12 noon, let's say 2 hours later, the sun drops 45 degrees, half of its distance to the horizon. Then 2 hours later, it drops half that distance. And 2 hours later, it drops half that distance. Now we're at a point where the human eye isn't going to even notice the drop. And now it's what we call sunset. And that's when it stops moving. It stops dropping because that drop is imperceivable to the human eye, especially with the atmospheric obfuscation.
No.
It's like the tennis ball trick where you put a camera on the floor, you put a tennis ball in front of it, and you roll a tennis ball across the room, and it shrinks. Then you put the camera upwards,
perspective,
and and you put a tennis ball on the ceiling and move it across the same distance. It stays approximately the same size. Only that's what we're seeing from our noon to just before sunset. Then that's when it starts shrinking and going away, just like the tennis ball experiment.
Right. So while it shrinks and goes away or out of sight, the angular speed remains absolutely constant, especially when you relate it to the apparent size of the sun disk. As it shrinks, the speed, if you would relate the speed in relation to the size of the disk, then the sun would technically suddenly accelerate. That is how that works.
You can't measure the size of the disk. As you just saw in my video, the sun actually disappears into clear sky. It was essentially a clear day, and the sun's light can't get to us. So that shows you as it's moving away, we're seeing less and less of it. It's getting weaker. The edges are wearing off. The center actually darkens out before the edges.
I've seen the footage.
What I'm saying is I'm
emphasizing the angular speed.
Arwen, you should let other people talk when you want to talk yourself.
Angular speed remains constant.
Nathan, I gotta
go. It does
I
not
can't deal.
stop.
See ya.
Yeah, Arwen, you're just talking over the top of David
Constant
constantly.
angular speed. Sorry
So
to
far,
annoy you
Arwen,
with this,
two
but it
guests
really
have dropped
does.
because of this. Okay.
I'm sorry he can't take it, but I'd love to go up ahead with him. I analyzed all these videos he took. It was great. It was a really interesting phenomena.
It's just
but
that
the
you
angular
you
speed
overtalk
did not
everybody.
decrease as a thing moving into the distance would do.
Yeah, but
the speed was the same.
Arwen,
yet it suddenly shrunk.
Arwen, this was the guy that took the footage. He was the one that was talking about it. You never gave him a chance to speak. You were being incredibly rude.
I don't think so.
Okay.
He was making a claim, and I was just countering that claim.
Sure, but you weren't giving him a chance to speak. and saying the same thing over and over again, you're basically rumpusing him.
He wasn't addressing it. He wasn't even countering it.
Well, I noticed some similarities between the images that I took when I was at St. Bees and Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole's video as well. And it looks to me like the actual real sun splits away at one point and all we're left with is the lensing effect that disappears at the end. Can you share my screen, Nathan?
Yeah, sure.
I'm just gonna keep playing this little segment over. It's just where it seems to morph, it turns into a number 8 kind of thing. And in my opinion, the real sun, which is here now, this is the real sun, is going, there we go, it's going further away. That's the real sun. And it's just the lensing that's left at the bottom. So the real sun is right at the top. If I was to pause it there, can you see, have you seen my images that I'll show you now?
Yeah, we're watching. I know exactly what you mean. It goes to like a figure of 8 and sort of morphs from one sun to another sun almost.
So this is some of the images that I've taken, and it looks to me like there's the real sun, and this is just the lensing effect at the bottom. This is what I was talking about before on a previous debate with you, and that's what I see in the same video. It's the same thing. It's this. There's the real sun. It's going further away, and all we're left with, what we think is the sunset, isn't the sunset. It's actually just the it's just the light from it. The sun isn't really there.
You have no proof that the sun is anywhere, because the sun disk is all you ever get to see. Try to explain this.
Well, what's this causing this at the top then? In both the images that I take from the UK and from somebody doing it in America.
Well, a visual anomaly.
What, we both capture an anomaly?
Itself is.
You need a solar filter, then you get a good picture.
Whatever you need, whatever you're going to see, it's going to be a visual anomaly, as the sun disk itself is by default.
If you look at the sun through a solar filter, because it's really bright, so you get a solar filter that blocks out almost all the light except the light from the sun, and then you'll see the sun as it really is.
I think the real sun just goes out of distance. This is the real sun. Goes smaller and smaller and disappears. And all we're left with is the light until that fades as well. That's what it looks like to me.
Aranti, have you ever tried looking at, like, you can go online, like on Amazon or wherever, eBay, and you can buy like eclipse glasses. Celestron is probably the best, one of the good brands. And have you ever tried looking at the sun through one of those?
I haven't, no.
You should try. Until then, you're just going to see distorted clouds and stuff, clouds getting illuminated by the sun.
Have you got video of it that you could show?
I don't, but like, again...
Just do it yourself?
What?
Just do it yourself? Is that going to be the next sentence you said?
Yeah, I've done it myself, yeah. Like
right.
Anyone can do.
Anyone can do it, right, Rico?
Problem
Thanks for that.
with
That's really handy.
filters, it would
That's really handy.
obscure the fact that
Almost
you're
as good as
seeing-
actual evidence.
Sorry.
Go ahead, James. Sorry to cut you off.
It is like the sun is casting a silhouette of itself or a projected image of itself that I imagine different people in different locations around it would see basically the same thing. I tend to think the sun is not a material object myself, and I think Ranti's right in saying it's sort of casting an image of itself onto the atmosphere between the viewer and the, and the actual sun, if you will. That figure 8 is part of the distortion that this casting creates.
I think there's obviously more experiments that we can do visually, but I think that's a good starting point. I do believe that the real sun, when it sets, what we see as the real sun isn't actually the sun at all.
Ranty.
Yes.
Have a look at the link I've put in from Wolfie. You might be interested in that.
Right. Okay, so you're asking me to what?
Yeah, just have a look, see what you think. Get yourself a filter. Look at the difference.
Right. Okay. So you want me to spend $1,000 on a filter?
No, you can buy a filter for £8.
Yeah, no, I can. But the filter
the thing
that's
is,
right now is $1,000.
most people's eyes aren't looking at it with filters and stuff. We're talking about what we're actually visually seeing from the perspective of the viewer.
Can your
from
eyes
the POV.
Can your eyes be tricked?
Well, apparently, but without the filter, we're seeing this figure eight. You want to say, oh, we'll make it disappear. And we won't even consider that in the atmospheric conditions that may be causing it. You know, a lot of these things, that's the problem. The POV, the point of view, is always taken away, and then we get these adjustments and from a side view and absolute values, and it's not reality. Putting a filter, $1,000 filter between you and the sun when 99% of people don't have one, and that's not really what the issue is. The issue is the sun actually casting sort of an image of itself on the atmosphere? And what we're looking at sunset is not actually the source of the light. That's the question.
Well, we know
so
that
putting a filter in front of it just obscures and does the same thing as the point of view for angle of elevation. Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
If you don't consider the angular height and the decrease from the point of view of the vision in a curve calculator, then you're cheating. You know, in a sense, we're looking at the figure eight and the fact that the sun might be casting a kind of silhouette or image of itself that we're looking at. And you're saying, no, let's not look at that subject and the figure eight, that let's put a filter in front of it and not consider what the average person would see when they're looking at it at sunset.
Because that's not what's happening.
Hold on a second. Hey, is that actually D Marble?
Yeah, that's me. How's it going, Nathan?
Excellent. Good to have you.
Good man. Great to see you.
Great to meet you.
Yeah, I just wanted to pop on real quick. Yeah, I got a chance to listen to your debate with the Rumpus yesterday.
How'd you feel that went?
That was solid. You know, the whole denial of perspective as far as the calculations and all. That was pretty good. Pretty good.
Anything to share with us today?
Well, not a whole lot. I'm heading to Alaska tomorrow. I'll be trying to get a time lapse on the sun, making its circuit over the North Pole for summer solstice. So
Wow.
yeah, I'll be flying up tomorrow afternoon. Got a new camera, got more batteries and all, memory cards. So yeah, I'm ready for that. So I'll have some video for that in the future.
I look forward to that. You're a great flat earther. I always follow you. I love to see what you do.
Really appreciate it. Got a couple other ideas.
Good man.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. But yeah, just wanted to hop on real quick, say hi, because I mean, I listen to your debates from time to time, but yeah, the one with the Rumpus, man. You know, you guys seen you had Mick West on here, didn't you?
Yeah,
we did.
Solid.
We served him up.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
That's one of the all-time greats of the debates and all of the it's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He went down like the Titanic.
I know. And let me see, you got him briefly to tell the truth. That was great.
It was the Olympus, not the Titanic.
Awesome.
Well,
but yeah, hey,
my calculator is not accurate. You know, it's for entertainment purposes only, like the rest of the globe and the globe model.
Yeah.
It's an entertainment piece. It's fiction.
All smoke and mirrors, just to keep the public distracted. But there's another development that there's a quick kind of news report that I'd like to do. There's the flight over the poles 2018. There's a disclaimer at the bottom basically telling the passengers that they can't bring any equipment or any instrumentation to do scientific experiments. They say it's for the safety of the passengers, and they won't tolerate anyone attempting to disprove or discredit scientific fact. So they're prohibiting anybody from bringing any equipment that they could perform an experiment with.
Will you repeat that again, please?
Just more constraints on freedom of the human race to actually investigate stuff.
Yeah, basically, and that's the flight. People have invited me to sign up to get on that flight. Overthepoles2018.com. At the bottom, there's a disclaimer that shows that it basically says you can't take any devices on where you could perform an experiment. But basically, they won't allow it, and they're sending out a code of conduct to everyone who signs up and pays for that flight.
Well, here in Canada, the government, we have a company that's out in the north, very north of 60 in Canada, and really north of Alberta. They produce long-distance drones. The government, I don't know where it is in the legislation yet, but they're passing legislation on where they can fly. So basically, they don't want them going like north of 80, north of 90, and wherever is beyond or whatever. Shutting down where you can go with long-distance drones. What's the point of having a long-distance drone? You can't go nowhere with it.
Right. I got about 30 seconds, then I gotta head upstairs, get my workday started.
Question
What you got?
Good to see
is,
you.
Is the sun real or a holographic projection?
I've never been there. I can neither confirm nor deny what the sun is. I mean, it's really hard to tell. It's hard to pin down. The sun and the moon, those are just, I mean, I have no idea, honestly. We know that they exist. Whether or not they're a disc or a sphere, it's hard to tell, honestly.
But are you sure they are objects or just light-based phenomena?
What's the difference exactly?
Well, an object is physical. It has a location. It has a distance. It has an actual shape. A light-based phenomena is just that. It is a light-based phenomena, something that can be observed in accordance to the observer.
Like a rainbow.
Like a rainbow.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure that they're non-physical. I'm gonna go with non-physical as far, because the moon, I mean, seriously, the way that we've seen it go through these phases where you can see stars through the moon when it goes into its waxing and waning and all that, the crescents, you can see stars through the moon. So it's not a physical object that one can land on, that's for sure.
Well, that's fantastic. I agree with you.
And orbitals, billions of tons of rock circulating around us, tethered by gravity, is lunacy. So
absolutely,
certainly not something that weighs billions of tons and has mass and is orbiting us. So physical, not in that sense, no.
Hey, Brendan.
No, absolutely not. Well, all right, guys, I gotta hop off, get ready to go to work real quick, but just want to hop on. Good job with the debates. Continue doing what you do, man. You know, this is a good discussion for everybody to indulge. So,
Do come back.
Yeah, thanks for
at
joining,
some point,
D-Marble.
for
Nice
sure.
to see you.
It's just you know, between the U.S. and the U.K., the time zone difference it's 8 hours. So, you know, I get off work at midnight your time, you know, and I'm about to head into work right now. So it's, you know, right around 7 a.m.
What do you do for work, Marble?
I'm a logistics analyst.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much same thing I did while I was in the Army. I, you know, take in equipment, get rid of it, inventory management, things like that, stocking shelves. But yeah, it's not all that glamorous. Pays well, but you know, it's work.
We don't want to make
anyway,
you that work, so thanks again for joining, D-Marble.
Thanks for stopping
Pleasure
by,
having
yeah.
you.
Been a pleasure.
No problem. Have a good day, fellas.
Could I take a moment to chime in on Newton and apples?
Of course you can.
Okay. Just like with, you know, the visual perspective and their cheat with that, gravity has a cheat too. Now, the theory is the apple fell out of the tree, accelerated down to the ground. We got some calculations out of it. Now, potential energy is being denied here. Now, the apple, you have to ask, how did it get in the tree? It grew there. The tree stored potential energy, and when the apple fell, it released it. The feather and bowling ball, NASA experiment. Now, they didn't get up in the air on that beam magically. Someone physically raised them, attached them to quick release devices, thus giving them potential energy, the ability to fall. So irregardless of vacuum, more pressure, less pressure, they were given potential energy released, and that energy was released. So gravity is all about the same type of thing, of denial of the potential energy. If you simply ask, well, that falling object, did it magically get in the air? Parachutist, whatever. No, something brought it there. See, if you throw a coin off a building, gravity don't make it hit the ground. You took the elevator up to the roof, went to the edge, and you threw a coin down.
Right.
You hold a mic over midair, you've given it potential energy, you're holding back its potential energy.
But
When
in
you
this
open
case,
your fingers, that potential energy is released, it hits the ground, the game is over.
right. But with gravity, in this case, you mean the downward acceleration force, correct?
The release of that potential energy that was given to it by a hand holding a mic, any object. Apples falling from trees. Parachutists jumping out of airplanes. The same idea applies. If you back up one step and simply ask, what gave that falling object its potential energy? What's its story? How did it get up in the air and get released? See, it's just about release of potential energy. You raise 1 pound, that's how I learned it. You raise 1 pound, 1 foot off the ground, it's 1 foot-pound of energy. Horsepower is measured like 750 foot-pounds per second. You can move 750 pounds 1 foot in 1 second. You've expended a horsepower.
It takes energy to relocate an object upwards, and then if you drop it, then the energy from the downward acceleration force that I like to call gravity, it moves it down again.
Well, think of it this way. If you have a pallet with 750 pounds on it and a stick of dynamite underneath it, you blow that stick of dynamite, it'll raise the pallet 1 foot in 1 second, and then it'll fall back to the ground.
I think that the stick of dynamite would probably cause a shockwave that shatters the entire thing, but
Okay,
sure,
that's
you understand
okay.
the point he's making.
Blah,
though,
blah,
right,
blah.
Owen? I mean,
Okay, yeah, but what I'm saying is in energy terms, 750 foot-pounds of energy are released, or potential is there. You could, if you made sure it didn't blow everything apart, and you had 750 pounds to lift up 1 foot, your stick of dynamite would do it.
yeah, there's another example that was done on, I think it was Smarter Every Day, and they went out and looked at this clock, like a bit like an old cuckoo clock. You pulled a chain and it raised a counterweight, and they called it the gravity clock. And it's like, oh, gravity radio, that was it, sorry. And essentially, it's exactly, the comment I left was almost akin to what you've said, which is, that's not gravity that you're looking at. You're looking at potential energy. You increase the potential energy in that system by pulling on the chain, using your energy to give potential energy to the counterweight. So it's falling back down. It's just a release of potential energy, but not
and it's
gravity,
released
as they
over
call
time,
it.
over a period. And then you have to reset it.
that's
Exactly.
mechanical energy storage.
Yeah,
Well, or
potential energy.
Release,
Potential energy.
like I say, falling objects. If you ask the question, well, how did the feather in the bowling ball get up there? It wasn't gravity that put them there. That should be the force that should be able to raise those down balls to the ceiling, or feathers, or anything. You see, it's just equal and opposites. I mean, there are rules. Newton himself, a body at rest stays at rest till a force acts upon it. Well, if you're a force and you act upon a bowling ball and a feather and you hang them from a ceiling, then it's not a body at rest anymore, either of them. See, it's not about gravity. It's just about foot-pounds above the ground. It's just releasing energy, and things want to go back to zero, or ground. It's just for weight and mass, that's all we're looking at. It's not gravity. That's a fictitious invention and force, just like Coriolis. Coriolis, let's shoot this in the foot. There's a vid of this, guy with a Russian accent or whatever. He shoots a 50 cal rifle straight up. Now, if I did that here in Ottawa, I'm at 45 degrees latitude. The hang time is 1 minute and 50 seconds. And they have to run for shelter, and because it comes back down at 500 miles an hour. and it can land at their feet or on their heads and kill them. Now, the rotation of the actual rotation of the Earth in that minute and 50 seconds, well, me and the gun should move 15 miles away, almost 16 miles away.
Yep.
That hang time. If I do that at the equator, okay, forget 15 miles, it should move me and the gun 32 miles away. The Coriolis effect from the spinning axial Earth.
Yeah, but two separate reference frames that you don't actually ever see or experience, and the pseudo force they say exists doesn't really exist. I think on that note, I'm going to take a 10-minute break. So I'll first and foremost say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing the debate. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do. But if you liked the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!